Welcome back, friends. In this session that we are going to have today, we'll be talking about Precis writing. Please understand Precis, Precis, and it's not precise. So we'll be talking about Precis writing. Now, what basically is Precis writing? Summary of a passage covering all its important details. So what happens in a Precis? You are given a passage, so you have to write a summary of that passage by leaving out the unimportant things and including only those points which are important. Fine. So this is how you have to write a summary, and this kind of a summary is known as Precis. You have been doing this exercise in your class 11th and 12th also. So this is again going to be a brief session wherein I'll discuss how to write the Precis, and I'll be discussing some tips on how to reduce the length of the passage to be able to write that Precis. Fine. So now you understand what a Precis is. Generally in a Precis you reduce the size of the passage by almost 2/3. That is, you reduce it to 1/3 of its original length. So for example, if you have been given a passage of, let's say, 100 words, just to give an example, you have to reduce it to a passage of just 33-34 words. Fine. So you have to reduce the length to almost 1/3 of the original length. So this is what you have to do. You may or may not be given these instructions. You may not be asked to write a Precis of a particular length, but if in case such instructions are missing, then you have to reduce the length of the passage to almost 1/3, ek tihai. Fine. Now, how do you go about writing the Precis? To be able to write the Precis, you have to follow some steps. Step number 1 is, first you need to understand the text. Read it thoroughly and understand it, because if you don't understand the text, how can you convert it into a Precis? You would never be able to do that. So you have to read the particular passage which has been given to you and understand whatever has been said in that particular passage. You may have to read twice, you may be reading thrice also, but that is immaterial. You have to continue reading unless you understand what has been said in that particular passage. Then, while reading, another exercise that you can do is you can underline the important ideas and the central theme. I hope you understand what do we mean by the central theme, the dominant idea which is there in that passage. So you underline the lines which you think are important. Why? Because now they would help you in writing the Precis, because these are the most important ideas which are there in that passage. They should be part of your summary, part of your Precis also. So therein, these lines which you have underlined in point number 2, you can use these underlined lines to write your Precis as shown here in step number 3. Once you do this, you have to ensure that the Precis has to be 1/3 of the original text length. So whatever the passage has been given to you, you have to reduce it to 1/3 of its size, and that only would be your Precis. Fine. And once you have written the Precis, you also have to supply a suitable title. Again, please understand, you may or may not be asked in the question to supply a title, but you should. Even if it is not asked, you should supply a suitable title to the Precis that you have written. And please understand, it can be different from the title of the passage which was given to you. So the passage may have different title, while the Precis may have a slightly different title also. Fine. Now, how to do this task? How to go about this task of reducing the length of the original text? So that we are going to discuss now. The summarizing tips. How can you summarize? How can you reduce the length of the original text which is given to you to write the Precis? First thing, skip all the data, all the interrogatives where some questions have been asked, all the anecdotes, quotations, proverbs. Why are they there? I hope you remember from your session in essay writing that these are there to make the matter more interesting for the reader. So I can easily remove them without compromising the quality of my Precis. So I'll remove these things. They are just there to make the passage more interesting. So I can remove them when I'm writing the Precis. Fine. So I have to remove all this kind of stuff, the data, the interrogatives, the anecdotes, some poems, some quotes. I can remove all of them. Then I can make use of one word substitutions. I'll give an example. What is an example of a one word substitution? In Hindi, you have been reading one word substitutions. You should also know one word of substitutions in English language as well. So what are examples of one word substitution? Shakahar karne wala, one who does not eat flesh, one who only eats vegetables. Shakahari. So Shakahari is an example of a one word substitution. I'll give you other examples in English. Very hardworking. So how can you say the same thing using just one word? So this is an example of a one word substitution. So for example, in a particular passage, it has been said that Prakash is very hardworking. You can reduce the length of that particular sentence by saying Prakash is diligent. Then somebody who does not believe in God is called an atheist. So this is an example of a one word substitution. So if somebody says, in the passage somebody says that Bhagat Singh did not believe in God, you can convert it into Sardar Bhagat Singh was an atheist. So this is how you can reduce the length of the sentences, and you can reduce the length of the Prezi. Then, okay, while discussing these one word substitutions, we have been going through Word Power Made Easy. Please make sure that you complete the sessions thoroughly, because therein you will come across so many examples of one word substitutions, and you will come across these kind of words. So therein, if you are reading those words and if you are able to grasp the meanings of those words, you would be able to write a better Prezi also, because then you would be able to use those one word substitutions which are there in Word Power Made Easy to write your own Prezi. Fine. So this is the reason why you have been asked to go through Word Power Made Easy. Now reconstruct the sentences. You can also reconstruct the sentences to make them shorter, and this is how you can reduce the text length. You can reduce the length of the paragraph or the length of the passage. So how to do this? I'll give an example. When you say something in passive, apple is being eaten by me, and if you say the same thing in active voice and passive voice, if you say the same thing in active voice, you will write I eat apple. If you want to say the same thing in passive voice, you will say the apple is being eaten by me. Fine. Now please understand, when you convert something into active, the sentence is shorter in most of the cases. So active voice is generally shorter than passive voice. So in case the sentences have been written in the original text, in the original passage in passive voice, do convert them into active voice, so you can reduce the length of the sentences and reduce the length of your Prezi. Then remove redundant words. Now what do we mean by redundant words? Words which are not required. Words which, if removed, they don't make any difference to the text, to the passage. So these kind of words are known as redundant words, and many a times we speak redundant words. We use so many redundant words while we are speaking, and while writing also we do that. This is done just to make your writing more effective, just to lay stress on whatever you are writing. But then while writing the Prezi, then you can remove these kind of redundant words. So for example, he ran so very fast. What is the writer trying to communicate? That the person ran really fast. So he's saying he ran so very fast. So rather than using so very fast, you can replace it by very fast. So this will reduce the length of the sentences. At 12 noon. So at 12 noon basically is talking about 12 p.m. day time. So you can simply convert it into noon. Noon is also 12 p.m. So this 12 word is redundant here, just like so was very redundant here. So was basically redundant here. Now then, each and every citizen should follow the traffic rules. Rather than writing this, you can remove each, and this is the redundant portion, and you can simply write every citizen should follow traffic rules. So this is how you can reduce the length of the sentences. A total of 11 students. Naturally, you want to say 11 students. If you write 11 students, even that is more than sufficient. So you don't need to write a total of 11 students. Fine. So this is how you are removing the redundant words. In the event that he dies, agar wo mar gaya to, you can simply remove this portion, the event that, and you can simply convert it into if he dies. So this is how you can summarize while you are writing a précis. But remember that you should not deviate from the main theme while you are writing the précis. What do I mean? I mean that if you are writing a précis, the central theme of the précis should also be the same as that of the passage. So whatever is the central theme focus of the passage, your précis should also have the same focus, same central theme. Is that making sense to you? Right. Now please understand, as far as précis writing is concerned and also essay writing is concerned, we have discussed précis writing today. In the last session we talked about essay writing. If you practice these two things well, you will of course get an advantage over other candidates while you are appearing for CDS, while you are appearing for ND, because in these exams, specifically CDS and Assistant Commandant Paramilitary Forces, in these exams there is a descriptive question paper wherein your précis writing skills and your essay writing skills in English are assessed. So if you understand how to write the précis and how to write the essay, and if you practice it on a regular basis, you would probably be able to perform there as well. So